My name is Kurtz. I was involved in an accident where I was run over by a tanker truck. In the course of that, I broke 8 ribs and I had a herniated disc or a ruptured disc in my back. For my back, I've had a series of injections, periodically, which helped diminish the pain a little bit. Didn't quite get rid of everything like I would have expected, so we went ahead and had a discectomy done on my back as well, and that was about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Things seem to be doing pretty good thus far, so hoping it stays the same way. Okay, well, as I was in the hospital from the accident with my ribs healing and whatnot, nobody knew anything about my back. I kept complaining about a pain in my knee, and I was given a series of x-rays for my knee and they couldn't find anything with my knee. Eventually they sent me home. A couple weeks later, the pain in my knee still hasn't gone away. I've come in here for pain in my back as well. And that was at the time when Dr. Sani come to find out and did some tests and whatnot, found out that the pain in my knee was relative to the ruptured disc in my back. At that time, they started with the injections and whatnot to help alleviate the pain there. Like I said, that was periodic. It was a temporary pain, temporary solve. Would come in every 3-4 weeks, whatever, and get an injection. And eventually they said, well, it's not getting good enough. Let's go ahead and come in and do the procedure. That process, the initial accident was January 22nd. I believe I came in to Dr. Sani's office probably about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks after the accident, after I was released from the hospital. And we immediately started the injection treatments. The injection treatments, I'd say we did for about 4 to 5 months. And then he went ahead and did the procedure, the discectomy, about a month after that. And again, that's been probably 6 weeks, month to 6 weeks since I've had that. Well, basically he explained to me that the pain in my leg was coming from the ruptured disc in my back. And he explained to me that we would first, without jumping into surgeries and procedures and stuff like that, that we'd start treatments with injections, which he did. He explained to me that I could either have a sedative and be more or less asleep when I had the injections, or I could have them awake, either way. The injections didn't bother me enough to where I needed all of that. It was pretty uninvasive, simple, come in, took me a couple minutes and I'm out of here and my back starts feeling better. Over the course of about 3 or 4 weeks, the pain would start to come back and I would come back in and get more injections. And then he described if the injections aren't getting it done, it's not a long enough term deal, then we'll have to come in and we'll figure out another process. And instead of jumping in and cutting me open and putting screws and bolts and stuff in my back, he said, well, let's try this discectomy, which is basically they put a needle in my back just like the injections, but the needle has an auger head on it and it would spin and it would pull out the inflammation. And that's, since then that's helped out quite a bit. Prior to coming in, prior to the accident, I didn't have anything wrong with my back. My back was fine. So, and I really didn't have any pain in my back when I was in the hospital, but I believe that was more due to the fact that my ribs were broken. The pain in ribs was pretty excruciating. I did complain about the pain in my knee, and that never would go away. So when I came in and he explained to me that the pain in my knee came from my back, and he said that I could get rid of that pain with shots instead of taking pills and stuff like that, then I was all for that right away. Every injection I got immediately upon leaving here, I would feel better, and the pain would come back slowly. Over a course of a couple of weeks, I would start to feel it come back a little by little. And then obviously we'd come in and do another injection. At that time, he said, well, if this is going to continue to come and go, I would say that my biggest concern was lack of sleep. At nighttime, if I rolled over, if I did any kind of movement, and it would cause a pinch or a shooting pain that would go down my leg, and that would immediately wake me up, and I'd have a tough time falling back asleep from there. So I believe more or less the pain in my leg stemming from the pain in my back is why I initially came in. Obviously, I had tons of other limitations other than just sleeping. I felt the pain in my back all the time. I couldn't do any lifting or running or walking, long distances or anything like that as well. I mean, immediately upon the accident, my job was canceled. The company was shut down because I was a vice president in charge of Texas. So when I was injured, the company was shut down initially. So I didn't have work, and I still haven't been able to go back to work. I still can't do the things that I was able to do prior to the accident, and that's what we're working on. Well, once I started having the injections, the relief was instantaneous. I haven't had to have any physical therapy, any additional therapy at all whatsoever outside of just the injections and the procedure that he did, the discectomy. I have yet to have any kind of physical therapy or anything like that. Nothing lingered from the procedure and the injections themselves. It was just beneficial. Now, ever since I've had the discectomy, my back feels as though it did when I would leave here from my injections. I haven't had any reoccurring pain coming back. In fact, I'm to the point now where I feel like I can start to do things, that I did prior to the accident. I'm starting to accelerate my activities a little bit. I sleep like a baby now. I haven't had any problems since really the injections helped. Like I said, once the injections would start to wear off, a couple weeks after, I would feel a little bit, pain at night and stuff. And again, we'd come back and the injections would take care of that. But ever since I've had the procedure, I've slept like a baby. I haven't had any problems at night at all whatsoever. I really haven't had any pain yet that's keeping me from doing things. I'm finally able to, like I said, extend out and start extending my exercises a little bit. I'm not back to lifting weights or anything like that yet, but we're crawl before we walk. I would most definitely recommend anybody to come here because it's been very uninvasive. That was my biggest concern, was having surgeries and having procedures and stuff like that and feeling lingering effects from that for a lifetime. And I haven't had any lingering effects from the injections, nor have I had any lingering effects from the discectomy as well. Well, when I came in for the pain in my leg and he told me that I had a ruptured disc in my back, of course I was concerned because I've heard nightmares from people that have had back problems and it's just reoccurring. Even after they have procedures done, it reoccurring. And obviously that was my fear for the rest of my life, that I'd be having to deal with back pain, and that hasn't been the case at all. I was having trouble with memory loss, and I'd go into the kitchen, forgot why I was in the kitchen. I have a conversation, I'm just grasping for words and I couldn't figure stuff out, getting aggravated real easy, anxiety real bad, and it's just, I've never had anxiety or any of these issues ever in my life. And come to find out, Dr. Sani ordered a test where I came in, I think it was called a VNG or VGN, something to that effect. And ultimately it was a brain scan to see if I had had any loss of consciousness and what was going on inside my head, and come to find out that I do have a mild traumatic brain injury. I found Dr. Sani's name and his contact info doing searches on the internet, actually. My wife and my sister, when I was having problems with my ribs, were still bothering me, and my leg was bothering me, they started looking up, something having to do with backs and something having to do with pain management. And somehow, some way, this is a number that they came up with, and I came in and I was in here within a couple of days. Wasn't any difficulty at all. My wife called, I think, on a Thursday, and I think I was in here the next Tuesday or Wednesday, within a week. And that was, at the height of the COVID stuff, so I was fortunate. I've never waited more than 5 minutes when I've come in here. I come in, check in at the desk, they may or may not even have me sit back down in my chair, and they send me back and get me going. It's my dad, because of COVID, my dad that comes with me stays in the car, and it doesn't bother him at all. He's not here long enough where that's an issue, so pretty much in and out. Staff's been great. I mean, every time I call or I leave a message to get back with me, they get back with me in a timely manner. I haven't had any problems with them as well.